Welcome back to the You Are Immeasurable podcast. Today I have Jennifer Longberg, see, broke it, with us today. She is the CEO of Spiritual Living with Jennifer, and I'm really excited to have her come and talk to you all today. So, Jennifer, I'm just going to open the floor to you and let you tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Well, thank you for that. I'm telling you, like CEO, I feel pretty special right now. Oh, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm so excited just to have this conversation. But my name is Jennifer Lonnberg, and don't worry, everybody messes it up. We've had our last name so many different ways. It's almost a joke to see who's going to say it which way, especially like when our kids were in high school, my husband in high school, like they used to always get it wrong. But my name is Jennifer, and I am the author of Embodied Grace, A Woman's Path to Empowerment. That was my first book. That is my heart, my soul. My mission is to help women really learn to embody grace in their life. And what that means is to find a life full of joy and ease and peace and grace and beauty and all of the good things, right? Abundance and happiness, just feeling content and fulfilled. That was really something that I worked on myself. I have kind of an interesting story. I was raised Christian. I am Christian. I consider myself Christian, but I'm also psychic. And that made an interesting dichotomy whenever I was growing up and going through my stuff. Eventually, I did write another book called The Secret Experiences of a Closet Psychic. And so that one was a really fun one to put out. All of this stuff to say, we've all heard that whatever we're working on is what we're here to help teach. Really, for me, it's about embracing and embodying really truly who you are at your core and knowing that God made you exactly the way you're meant to be. You're here on purpose on this planet at this time. That's my heart and soul. It's just letting women know it is time for us to shine unapologetically. Just be who we are and embrace who we are and know that we're here to bring light and love and happiness to the planet.
I love that. That is amazing just in itself because there is so much that comes with the hiding of ourselves when it comes to the various cultures, the various religions, the various ways that as women in society are told we should be, we ought to be, or we have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you're someone that's gifted, someone that's always been gifted, I find that many of us spend so much time being closeted, like with your book, The Secret Experience of the Closeted Psychic, and you don't know all the time when it's safe. I'll say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially when you're young and when you're dealing with these types of gifts, you just want to tell people, hey, this, that, and the other. And people start looking at you like, what the hell? Wait a minute now. Then that causes all types of isms and schisms. And now we're thinking something's wrong with us and being afraid to speak up, being afraid to share. But like you said, we have these gifts. We're here in the time that we're in because there's something that we're supposed to do. It's somebody or somebodies that we're here to help, to lead, to show the way, to even give them compassion, help them to understand it's nothing wrong with you. And for a lot of us, that comes with years and years of having to figure out for ourselves that is nothing wrong with us.
That is it right there, right? So that's where all of the work that I've done as a coach, because I started in like health coaching and life coaching, right? And so in that space, it's amazing how much anxiety I was holding within myself and how that was causing not only the anxiety and the stress, but then physical stuff, right? Because just not being authentic to who you were and trying to hide. I was in that space. I was trying so hard to hide that, not let anybody know that I was psychic. So I've always had that ability and trying not to let anybody know and trying to always watch what you're saying so that you're not quote unquote giving it away that like, how does she know that? You know what I mean? I am very good about boundaries and I would never quote unquote read somebody, but sometimes things just come through, right? And that's what I think what you're talking about when you just say something and it's like, well, why did she say that? Right. I tried for so long to push it down and that just caused headaches, caused anxiety, made me not really live authentically to myself because I wasn't allowing a part of myself that was a really big part of myself to quote unquote come out of that closet, right? Like I was trying so hard to be what is society expected me to be, what my church expected me to be, what my family expected me to be, and I wasn't actually embracing the part of me that I was trying so hard to stuff it down. I have an interesting story about it because I prayed and prayed and prayed for this gift to go away. I was like, God, please just take it away. Please just take it away. And I'll never forget the day that I finally had a knockdown drag out with God. And I was doing health consults at the time. So I'm an herb specialist. I've trained in natural health and healing, all of that good stuff. And I could see so clearly exactly what was wrong. So before I even got the testing done on what the herbal stuff was, right? Like I just knew what needed to happen and what was going on. And I just blurted it all out before I even had a chance to give a reason of why I was offering this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And they just looked at me like dazed and confused, like, I don't know what just happened, but okay. And I could feel that they were uncomfortable when they left because there were some details that I probably shouldn't have known. They hadn't shared it with me. So, and in that moment, I was just like, oh my goodness. And so when that health consult left, I remember having a knockdown drag out and I said, look, and I was, God, you did this to me. You show me what to do with this or take it away. And it was like, it was almost like God was like, well, finally, because I'd been saying, take it away, take it away, take it away. I had never said, show me what to do with this. So in that moment, when I was like, God, show me what to do with this, totally changed everything.
And that's what happens. Yeah, because I've had those moments. And for me, it was, why am I like this? What's wrong with me? Why do I feel these things? Why am I the only one that sees this or sees that? And everybody's looking at me like I'm some type of freak or lunatic. You
Mm,
just wanted me to not have friends and just be by myself forever. I mean, that ain't cool. How is that you loving me? What? And I think too that we pay so much attention to that we don't pay attention to what it is that is really being drawn out of us, what is really being built in us.
mhm,
And to the point that we ask, what do I do with this?
mhm.
And usually it comes out of, I'm frustrated, I'm over it, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not doing this any damn more.
Mhm,
That it's out of that where we're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Or
mhm.
how am I supposed to use this? How does this really work? That it's like ding, ding, ding. That's the question you should have been asking the
The
whole
whole time.
time.
Yes, exactly. And that's so true. I am also Christian, right? So that threw this whole dichotomy in there about, oh, you're Christian and you're saying psychic. Let me pray this out of you. A lot of the women that are in my world, that are in my community and in my membership, especially, they come from that background. Not all of them. We have a variety of women in that group, but a lot of them do have that Christian background. And a lot of them have been told that they have something dark attached to them or there's something wrong. And it's just a misunderstanding, right? Because there's so many different examples, even biblical examples. Like, do you think Daniel was going to go into the lion's den on his own? I'm sure he had some divine inspiration saying it's going to be okay. Just, you know what I mean?
Look here.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's it. I mean, like, come on. See dragons. I
Right.
talk to dragons. And what's the first thing they tell you? That's the devil, right?
Yeah.
The great. No, wait a
No.
minute. And so really when it got to the point that I couldn't fight it anymore, because that's something that we don't think about too. Like, yeah, at first you can kind of, I'm not listening, I'm not paying attention, but it gets to the point that you can't anymore.
Mhm,
And then it's like, okay, again, what's wrong with me?
mhm.
They tell you all these things in Revelations and everything about the dragon and this and the other. And I'm like, I've seen these dudes my whole life. Are you kidding me? So am I possessed? What are you telling me?
Right.
I've watched spirits, the shadows walk around and do these things. I see the spirits on people. Like, what the hell are you telling me? Because
Mhm.
if everything that he created, if everything that he made was good and very good, how am I wrong? How am I wrong?
It's just such a misunderstanding, right? There's so many things beyond our understanding. The interpretations from the original. Some of the words back then, you used the same word for multiple different things, and it has to do with how it was said and when it was said in the context and what it was said. And that makes it
Absolutely.
an entirely different word based on that,
Absolutely.
how it was written. So there's so much that does
Absolutely.
get lost in translation. And it was definitely an interesting thing. But what's really interesting to me is that a lot of my guides, and especially in the beginning, because I was like, okay, show me what to do with this. We still lived in our old house, and I was down in my space in the basement, which was like my home office. I felt like the entire basement just was filled up with spirit. And I had everything from people that had passed over to angels to spirit guides to bears and animals that were there. I mean, it was just this whole thing, right? So I saw all of the spirit and I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna just work with it all. But then it was like, okay, now what's the first step? And I had tried for so long to not hear it, to not listen, that I had to learn first how to even really learn what I was supposed to be doing with it and how to communicate and how to even be in that space to hear what I was being told and how to work with it. And it was interesting because it really was a lot of it for me in the beginning was the angelic realm was very helpful. I had a couple of my relatives that were passed over that helped me. I had so much support, and every message has been so loving and so kind. For me personally, when I was really like, okay, obviously I've been doing this my whole life, but if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. I want to know that what I'm doing is right. And so I would sit and pray and meditate. Inevitably, there would be a Bible verse that my angels would give me, and it would bring me back to this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing this work. I am here to spread light and love and to help people build their faith within themselves in whatever that is. They get to choose how this is for them. I'm not going to tell anybody what they should believe. I'm telling you, there is God's source, universe, whatever label you want to put on it, that has so much divine love available to you. And it's up to you to allow yourself to have it.
Right. I spent 20 years being a minister. I don't know if we talked about that before. I'm one of those people that if I'm in here, oh, I'm digging in. I want to know. I'm reading everything. I'm looking up everything. I'm searching. I have books everywhere. My husband's like, if you buy another book, it is. And I'm like, I can't help it. We know or we feel it in ourselves as it coming from that place of love, that place of compassion, that place of wanting to help and wanting to help people to heal from all of the things. We don't want to mess it up. We don't want to hurt someone, say the wrong thing. Also, realizing that a lot of times, hey, the thing that you need to hear is that thing that you don't want to hear. And it might smack you upside your head. It might kick you in your butt. But then there's a difference too, as far as motive. What is the motive behind that? Once you've suppressed it for so long, it is almost like that learning curve and that getting back on the bike type thing to tap back in so that you have that surety. And I
Mhm.
think another thing that blocks us is because we spent so much time overthinking, trying to compensate. And nope, I didn't just
I don't
hear
want to
that
see
out of
that.
the
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
Or I didn't just dream it last night and now it's playing out right in front of me and I'm freaking out over here. I think that gets in the way of it too.
Well, and that's part of the reason I wrote that book, The Secret Experiences of a Closet Psychic, is because I realized after I really stepped into embracing the psychic piece, understanding that I have an intuition that is beyond normal understanding and that I have a direct connection to the angelic realm, the galactic realms. I realized that a lot of the experiences that I had as I was younger, those were on purpose. So that then, as I'm doing the work that I was called to, when I finally was in that surrender moment of, okay, God, look, we had lived the Christian way. I had lived by listening to God, praying over everything my entire life anyway. I taught Sunday school, like this was the way I lived already. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go all in finally, right? Like, okay, God, I'm giving up. I'm letting you do it. Like, show me what I'm doing. And I started living even more in divine alignment. And then when I was doing that and really like accepting the gift that it was a gift and not a curse, that he created me this way with this gift on purpose, then I started realizing all the experiences that I had had up until that point were on purpose so that I could see that even when I was trying to reject it, it was still happening. And so there was this thing of, look, I've shown you all along, this is what you're here to understand and to do. And what's so crazy to me is how many women have this ability. We all have it, right? We all have it on some level. However, I joke around and say it's like baseball. Some people can just walk on the team. Some people are better at first base. Some people are better as a catcher. Some people probably should just take stats. Everybody can be involved somehow. Some of
There's a
us are just
role.
naturally more gifted in certain areas, right? But everybody has the ability, the intuition. There's some way that you're tied to the spiritual realms. It's just however that's showing up for you in this lifetime, how you're embracing it and what you're called to do. And every woman I've worked with, they have that on some level, but they've held it back or they don't understand it. They're afraid of it. Right. And so it's like, let's not be afraid. Let's embrace this and start to truly understand what it means to live spiritually.
Yeah, I agree completely that we all have it because even taking it back to the Bible, some may call it the divine spark or the divine light or your inner knowing. Some say it's your conscious, the spirit of God within you. It literally is the same thing.
Mhm.
And yes, we all have it. And I think that it also depends on where you putting in the work. The thing that you feed, that's what's going to grow strongest.
Mhm.
So, which way am I going with this? Am I going to keep on feeding the fear? Then, yeah, it's going to be stronger. Or am I going to say, there is a reason for this? This is a blessing, not a curse. This
Mhm.
is an ability, not a shortcoming. This is something that can be used not only to help me, those closest to me, and those that I love, but also all the people all over the world that are hurting, that need someone to stand in that gap for them or with them so that they can do what needs to be done in order to overcome that thing. To
Mhm.
me, a lot of it is just plain flat out perspective. How do you choose to look at it? You can decide where your thoughts go, that's where your energy goes. So which side? Which one? We got to pick a side. So which one is it going to be? Are we going to go all in and like, okay, how does this build? How does this heal? How does this encourage? Or, oh no, I'm scared, so I'm going to hide over here. Who is that helping? It's not even helping you.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's such a big thing. Well, and it's so funny to me, like literally how many women still hide it. Like it's amazing how many people in confidence have told me, "Oh my God, I'm so intrigued by this," because it could be somebody in a business conference, right? It has nothing to do with psychic awareness. And they're like, "Oh my God, I just saw what you do and I have to tell you." Everybody, it's amazing to me how many people, but then at the same thing, like they don't want anybody to know, right? So of course I'm not going to share that, but it's amazing how many private messages I get or how many emails I'll get or meeting people, like I said, at business conferences and things like that. That so everybody is having it. And on top of that, like right now, there is an awakening happening. Been experiencing it, right? We've been experiencing it for a very long time. I
Yeah,
know
a
there was a
massive one.
huge, yeah, there was a big wave of awakening back in, I don't know what, 2012 or something. And then there was
Yeah.
another one before that. So we've had these periods where there's these awakening points, but there is a major awakening right now to like literally people waking up all of a sudden one morning, not like waking up spiritually, but just waking up in the middle of the day and going, oh my God, I've never seen spirit before. What is this guy doing standing in
Mm-hmm.
my living room? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and it's spirit. And so I've had that women reaching out to me going, I've never had this happen before. This just happened. Am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. So
You're not
there's
crazy.
an awakening on that level where people their spiritual gifts are getting turned on like instant.
Yeah. My opinion. So I want to know how you feel with that going on. To me, that is just another sign that those of us that have been dealing with this for decades, well, not dealing with it, but yeah, have
Dealing
had
with
had
is
this
fair. That's fair.
had it going on for decades. We're supposed to be the ones to help them. Like you said, you're getting emails and voicemails and messages. Yeah, I get DMs like, hey, in the middle of the night, and it's like, wait a minute. Okay, calm down. It's okay. It's okay. Yes, it happens. Yes, it's normal. No, you're not losing your shit.
Right.
I mean, you might a little bit, but again,
But
that's
it'll be
part of
okay.
it. That's part of it. Because you're like, well, what the hell just happened? But yeah, it's a real thing. And my belief is that those of us that have always had these gifts have always been trying to figure out how to navigate the world between worlds, if you will. That's why we've had this our whole lives. That's
Mm,
why we were created this way. And
mm,
that's part of what we're here for. They're going to need somebody. And I find that even in coaching and things, it's easier for people to actually open up and really let things out when you can tell them, I've been there and this is how you feel. When you can actually, like, it's real life. It's not you read it in a book somewhere or somebody else told you, but when you can tell them, this is, I understand and I see it in your face, this is how you feel, it gives them that security and that surety that, okay, yeah, I'm not losing my damn mind here.
mm,
So,
mhm,
okay, it will be okay.
mhm, absolutely. And it's just a lot of it for most of the people, like I said, for most of the people that I work with, it's just getting over the fear of it because we've been so trained into thinking, well, there's two things, right? We've been trained away from tuning into ourselves, tuning into our heart, understanding the spiritual piece of us, right? We've been so trained away from that. And we've been trained into putting the authority outside of ourselves. And then we've been fed all kinds of dogma. And so we've literally been trained away from the truth and the divinity and the divine sovereignty that we have. So we don't have that spiritual connection like we could or like we should. And not saying that you should do it, but as a human species, we should have that divine connection in a deeper way. That's how we're made. All of the fear and the dogma and the paradigms that we've grown up in have all trained us away from that divine spark within.
Yeah. And I love what you said about it all being external from us, because I think that's part of it. We've gotten so far away from being able to trust ourselves. Everything takes a daggone committee meeting. We got to
Mhm.
ask 42 people what they think, what they prefer, what color they wanted, all of this mess that's not necessary, not needed. Because baby, if you got that message, then the message is for you to say it exactly how it was said to you.
And it comes back to learning how to trust, right? Learning how to trust God, learning how to trust ourselves, learning how to trust this whole experience.
Yeah. Sad to say that society has taught us that you can't trust nothing and nobody.
Right.
We have to get back into, this is what my heart is saying. This is what every fiber of my being is firing, that this is it, and going with that.
Yep. I love that so much. Well, and that's how we return to our own sovereignty, how we return to trusting the divine,
Yeah.
right? Is by
Yeah.
starting to make those steps. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it absolutely is within you. You just got to tap into it and trust it. I just love everything about this conversation.
I can talk about this kind of stuff all day. Are we still good? Because I get
Yeah, we're
lost. When
good.
we start talking about this stuff, I'm like, I get lost in all of it.
I did too. Yeah, we're good. But I want you to have the opportunity to tell us about your services. If you have anything coming up, if you have a program or what have you that you're promoting right now, tell us all about that.
Well, my favorite thing is my membership, which is called the Ascension Club. And it's called the Ascension Club on purpose. It's so funny. So, again, I mentioned that my first book was called Embodied Grace. So, this used to be the Embodied Grace Essentials, is what we called it. And then we were having a conversation and it got really out there, like really galactic, like that. And I said, you know what? What
Love
happens
it.
here stays here. I'm like, we're in this ascension period where things are going to get weird and it's going to be, this was years ago, right? So I'm telling my women in there, I'm like, look, things are going to get crazy. We're going through an ascension process trust yourself if different things start happening, because a lot of them, their guides were becoming more clear. They were really getting angelic communication, and they were understanding that. And we started joking about it being the Ascension Club. And I was like, oh my goodness, what happens in Ascension Club stays in Ascension Club.
Definitely.
So we started talking about it being the Ascension Club. So that's what we decided to call it, was the Ascension Club membership. So within that membership, I have open Q&A calls, I have meditations that are available, I have spiritual development training. That is my most exciting thing that I love to work with, because it gives everybody an instant place to just dive in. Because when you get awakened in the beginning, you're like, I want to know it all. I want to learn all of it. And like,
Yes.
this gives you a broad variety of everything. There's questions from throughout the years. There's channeled messages from my guides and angels. There's trainings on spirituality. There's trainings on how to live spiritually. So everything's literally at the click of a button. So you can get the membership sign up, and then you can dive into the app and you can just start looking at what training is calling to me first. That's probably my most favorite thing, because I'm one of those people. If I get excited about something, I'm like, I want to go start now. Like, I don't want to wait. I want to start right now. So the Ascension Club membership by far is my favorite. Other than that, I love my Facebook group. Is a free Facebook group. It's called Spiritual Living with Jennifer. So that's an amazing thing there. But it's really what my heart and soul is, helping people learn to live the highest and best divine version of themselves, and really learning what it means to live in a spiritual alignment. Right? Living, what does that mean to live? What does that mean to
Right.
live in divine alignment? And it's learning how to live from a place that you feel confident, you feel grounded, you feel, and it's not this boastful, like what, but it's like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can relax. I can let
Mm-hmm.
my nervous system calm down. I can start focusing on joy and abundance, and I can start living from a calm nervous system versus fight or flight, because
Yes.
so many of us are in fight or flight all the time.
All the time.
And that's really what I wanted when I started the original work called Embodied Grace. It was literally about, I was so tired of feeling stressed all the time, feeling not good enough, and like nothing I ever did was good enough, and trying to live to some standard of perfection that was really unrealistic. But there's so many women that I see that live that way. So I
Yes.
really wanted to speak to living gracefully, living peacefully, living happily.
Yeah.
So it's learning how to embody that, how to understand your emotions, your mental, like your thoughts running away from you, learning how to live from a space of grace.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And we'll make sure that we put all of those links in the show notes. So if anyone is interested, you'll be able to click and then go and check out all that Jennifer has to offer. All right. So once again, I just want to say thank you so much for coming and sharing your light with us, sharing your enthusiasm. I can see you, they can't see you, but yeah, you can just see that talking about this lights you up, and that this is your purpose, this is your mission, and you're definitely here to share and teach and help others to heal and to grow. So for that, I tell you thank you. I appreciate you for coming and sharing all of that with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me on as a guest. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So for the rest of you, again, I say thanks for tuning in to the You Are Immeasurable podcast. And until next time, cheers to your transformation.